The sisters. Shi Guifang gave birth to the 8th baby. After confinement, Shi Guifang left her little one to her eldest daughter, Yumi. Except for breastfeeding, Shi Guifang did not take care of the child. It stands to reason that Shi Guifang should have held the little boy in her mouth, cherishing him like her own heart and liver. Shi Guifang did not. After the confinement period, Shi Guifang gained weight, became lazy, and looked flabby. There's a sense of self-sufficiency in this looseness, but more of it is the laziness after the great work is done. Shi Guifang likes to stand at the door of her home, leaning on the doorframe and eating sunflower seeds with the great peace of mind. Shi Guifang held the seeds in one hand, picked them with the other, and then pinched them. 3 fleshy fingers were raised there, waiting slowly under her chin, looking surprisingly lazy. Shi Guifang's laziness is mainly reflected in her standing posture. Shi Guifang only uses one foot to stand, and the other one has to rest on the threshold. After a long time, she switches them over. People don't care much about Shi Guifang's laziness, but when people are lazy, they look arrogant. What people can't stand is actually Shi Guifang's arrogance. Why would she be so arrogant even when she eats sunflower seeds? Shi Guifang was not like this in the past. People in the village said that Guifang was a good woman and she didn't even have the airs of an official wife at all. Shi Guifang always smiled when talking to people. If she was eating and it was inconvenient to smile, she always smiled with her eyes first. Now, it seems that Shi Guifang has been pretending for the past 10 years. She gave birth to 7 girls in a row. She was embarrassed, so she was restrained and polite. Now that she's well and has given birth to her little boy, Shi Guifang naturally has confidence and arrogance. Although she is still polite, being polite is different from being polite. Shi Guifang's current politeness is as approachable as a branch secretary. Her man is the village party secretary, but she is not. So why would she be approachably lazy? The second aunt's house was at the other end of the alley, and she would often stand in the sunshine and turn over the grass with her yak in hand. The second aunt looked at Shi Guifang from a distance and sneered at every turn. She thought to herself that she had to open her thighs 8 times to get a son, and she still had the nerve to look like a female branch secretary. Shi Guifang married from Shijiaqiao to Wang village 20 years ago and gave birth to a total of 7 girls for Wang Lianfang. This does not include the 3 lost babies. Shi Guifang sometimes said that maybe the 3 missing babies were all boys, and the reactions to pregnancy were different. Even the taste on the tongue was different. Every time Shi Guifang said this, she would have a fluke feeling like a false past, as if as long as she could save one of them, she would be able to escape once and for all. Once in town, Shi Guifang made a special trip to the hospital. The doctor in the town agreed with her. The doctor, wearing glasses, spoke very scientifically, which ordinary people could not understand. Fortunately, Shi Guifang was a smart woman who heard the meaning. To put it simply, male fetuses are indeed more delicate and difficult to hang on. Even if they do hang on, they will still show some redness. After listening to the doctor's words, Shi Guifang sighed, thinking to herself that boy's preciousness is born in the belly. The doctor's words made Shi Guifang somewhat relieved. Even if she couldn't give birth to a boy, it wasn't entirely her fate. The doctor had already said this, so she still had to believe in some science. But Shi Guifang was more desperate. She looked at the little boy with the runny nose on the pier, froze for a long time, and turned away with great sadness. Wang Lianfang does not believe in evil. Wang Lianfang, the branch secretary, had studied dialectics in the county and knew the relationship between internal and external causes, between eggs and stones. Wang Lianfang has extremely secret knowledge about having boys and girls. Women are just external factors, just mud, temperature, and moisture. The key is the man's seed. A good seed is a boy, but a bad seed is a girl. Wang Lianfang looked at his 7 daughters. He didn't say anything, but his self-esteem was hurt in his bones. Once a man's self-esteem is frustrated, he will become particularly paranoid. Wang Lianfang began to be stubborn with himself. He made up his mind and decided to overcome all difficulties win. A son must be born. If it doesn't work this year, do it next year. If not next year, the year after next. If not the year after next, do it the year after. Wang Lianfang neither desires a quick victory nor worries about being seedless. He prepared for this protracted war. After all, it is not particularly difficult for a man to inseminate a woman. On the contrary, Shi Guifang was a little scared. In the few years after she got married, Shi Guifang was reluctant to have sex. This was what her sister-in-law told her before they got married. Her sister-in-law breathed the hot air from her mouth all the way to Shi Guifang's earlobe and warned Guifang to hold some of it and cover it. Otherwise, men would look down on you and despise you. Her sister-in-law said in a mysterious and sophisticated tone that, Guifang, remember, the bones that are hard to chew are the most delicious. Her sister-in-law's wisdom was actually not put to use. After giving birth to several girls in succession, things turned around. Shi Guifang no longer gave in half-heartedly or even heartedly. She was really scared. She could only hold it and cover it. The pinching and covering aroused Wang Lianfang's anger. That night, Wang Lianfang gave her 2 slaps, one from the palm and one from the back. No, my son hasn't been popped out yet. You still have 2 bowls of rice per meal. Wang Lianfang's voice was so loud that could definitely be heard even standing outside a window. Shi Guifang refused it in bed. If this word got out, she would die. Just knowing giving birth to girls and not willing, she is definitely the fault of an ugly woman. Shi Guifang was not afraid of Wang Lianfang's beating, but she was afraid of Wang Lianfang's roar. When he roared, Shi Guifang softened, and she couldn't clamp tightly or cover firmly. Wang Lianfang was like a clumsy barefoot doctor with a straight face, pulled down Shi Guifang's pants and inserted the needle. After inserting the needle, he injected the seeds. It was these seeds that Shi Guifang was afraid of, counting them one by one, which one was not a girl. God finally opened his eyes in 1971. Just after the Lunar New Year, Shi Guifang gave birth to her little boy. This Lunar New Year was unusual as it required the people must celebrate it as a revolutionary spring festival. It was strictly forbidden to set off firecrackers and play poker in the village. These strict orders were announced by Wang Lianfang to the whole village through loudspeakers. Wang Lianfang himself is not sure what a revolutionary spring festival is. It doesn't matter if not sure. The key is that a leader must dare to speak up. The new policy is a leader's blurting out. Wang Lianfang stood in the main room of his home, holding a microphone in one hand and playing with the switch of the loudspeaker with the other. The switch is small, like a heart and bright exclamation mark. Wang Lianfang said sternly into the microphone, "Our Spring Festival must be united, intense, serious, and lively." After saying this, Wang Lianfang pressed down the bright exclamation mark. Wang Lianfang could hear it himself. His words were like the exclamation mark, tense and serious. And the wild wind in winter added a majestic and stern air.